Hello, and welcome to this question and answer webinar for the role of Digital Communications Officer at GFI in Europe. Really happy that you can spend some time just going through the role with us. I'm with Amy Williams. Amy, do you want to introduce yourself just quickly?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I am Amy. I am the Senior Digital Communications Manager here at GFI Europe. I generally work to build and implement our digital communication strategy, as well as developing content and managing relationships within our team to make sure that we have as much impact as possible, and we can make sure the cool work that we do and our mission can kind of reach the right audiences. I also have a specific kind of interest and specialization in science communication, and I lead up our nutrition work. So.
Nice, super. Thank you, Amy. Because Amy's going to be the manager for this role, it's really great that we can just have a bit of time together now to answer some of the commonly asked questions about GFI, specifically also about this particular role, just so that people who are interested in applying are really well informed and are just hopefully really excited to be giving it your best shot. So we should take probably about half an hour, 45 minutes or so, just to go through questions and answers today. I should really introduce myself as well. So my name is Alex Mayers, and I'm the Managing Director at GFI in Europe. So I started with GFI just over 5.5-ish years ago, right back in the early days in Europe when we were just a team of like 2 or 3 people. So I've grown with the team as well. So we're now a team of coming up to 45 people across Europe. We're working in 7 or 8 different countries and really have the most incredible team doing some pretty impressive things. So in terms of what we do, we're a non-profit and we're a think tank. So we work to advance alternative proteins. The reason that we do that is for animal welfare reasons, climate change reasons, antimicrobial resistance, basically a whole bunch of causes which are linked to how we currently produce meat. So meat in the current animal agriculture sense is quite damaging in quite a number of ways. So we're trying to find ways with alternative proteins to reduce those risks and to make sure that we can still satisfy people with the meats that they know and love, but produced in a much, much better way. So the way that we do that across Europe is we work with scientists to energize the space and to get more people working on the key gaps. We also work with policymakers to try to smooth the path to markets for new products and novel foods. Also looking at labeling challenges and try to unlock lots of research funding from national or multinational governments so that we can accelerate progress. And we also work with the industry itself. So the alternative protein industry is still relatively small, and there's a lot of work to do. Big companies really play a part in this too. So we're very pragmatic about bringing people together to try to accelerate progress and get the ball moving. So we have a lot of work to do. Shaping the narrative for alternative proteins is a big part of our work that underpins pretty much all of those areas, from the science side, as Amy said, the science communication side, but also the policy side, making sure that the right narratives are hitting the right decision makers so that we can be helping to shape opinion, and also working with the industry, of course, and making sure that the narratives that we're also talking about with alternative proteins really do fit with reality. So yeah, lots of work for us. And this role is going to be super exciting, helping at the cutting edge of the digital stuff that we do to really make a difference. So hugely, hugely impactful. Cool. Okay, so Amy, I'm going to start with a few questions about this role particularly. So can you start by telling us a little bit more about the role? So where did it come from? What kind of things is this person going to be doing?
Yes, of course. So this role is, I think, going to be a really fun and hands-on role. I think is I don't know, I think it's a really cool, exciting job anyway. So there's going to be a lot of room for initiative and creativity. There's a lot of kind of independence. We want someone who's really good at kind of synthesizing the big, complicated, sometimes kind of technical information, and kind of showing people how interesting and exciting it is, and turning it into kind of compelling and digestible content. So that could be like blog posts, it could be social media posts, just to make sure that we can kind of highlight the work we do, and also kind of highlight the potential of protein diversification. I think it's also going to be important for this person to be kind of organized and help support the smooth running and functioning of our team. Like, this is a really cool and diverse job. You're ending up doing like very different things over the course of your kind of day to day. And so having that kind of functional base of kind of making sure that systems are efficient and working is also going to be a super important part of that. And then I think like the final element, which I think is really interesting about this role, is obviously we are in a really rapidly evolving digital communications environment at the moment. And so kind of tracking what things are changing, how best we can kind of make sure that we are communicating effectively with the right groups of people, even though there's sort of all sorts of different things changing, and kind of having that adaptive strategy, I think will also be kind of a really key part of this role. Yeah.
Amazing. I can just feel your energy as well when you're talking about it. It's really good to see. I agree too as well. It's going to be such a fun role. Like, it's going to be really diverse with lots of different challenges. And I kind of love that the innovation that's kind of sewn into it as well. Like, this is cutting edge stuff. This is new. No one's really doing this. So, well, with alternative proteins at least. So this really is quite a unique opportunity. It's super cool. Is it a new role? Is it like a newly created thing, or is this something like replacing somebody else?
Yes, so this is a new role, although it is also kind of adopting some of the responsibilities from the communications assistant role, who our communications assistant Pina has recently stepped into the role of communications project coordinator. So there is kind of an overlap of some existing kind of jobs and things that are from there, but also this is as well a new this is a new sort of title for the communications team, and we're hoping that this will also bring kind of a new scope for kind of stepping up our social media presence and our content, in addition to those kind of existing things. So that, yeah, there's room for the successful candidate to kind of shape it a bit as well.
Nice, super, super cool. And just to check as well, is this a full-time role, or is it like a part-time options?
Yes, so we can consider arrangements for flexible hours and part-time, but due to the fact that obviously with digital communications and particularly kind of social media, we are hoping for someone who would be able to work around a minimum of 30 hours a week. So yes, but with a kind of limit.
Or I think the flexibility is a really lovely thing that we can do as well. Like, because we work fully remotely across Europe, that means we've got a couple of time zones to work with, but also like there's a lot of flexibility. If somebody wants to take a yoga class at lunchtime, they can bend their hours around things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. That's super, super cool. Tell us a little bit more about the communications team. So how is the rest of the comms team structured? Who will be, I think we already said you're managing this role, but how do you fit into the comms team more widely?
Yes, so we currently have 5 people, including myself in the communications team. We have Sophie, who's our head of communications, and she takes care of our kind of overall strategy and messaging. We have Conrad, who is our communications manager for English language media. So he's working in English language media, funnily enough. And then Ilaria, she's our international communications manager. So she works in sort of a variety of different, obviously Europe has a lot of different countries and languages to be working in. So she handles kind of that kind of intersection. And then Pina, who has recently stepped up into the role of a communications project coordinator. She was previously the communications assistant, and she was kind of working to help kind of support all of us and help with the various kind of bits and bobs around the team. And so yeah, and then obviously there's me. So we all work together. We all work together like quite fluidly, and we all kind of pitch in for various different bits. But yeah, the structure is relatively kind of condensed at the moment, and we will also hopefully have like a mini sub team of digital with this new role, which is obviously very exciting.
Superb, thank you. And how do you work together as a comms team?
Yes, so we are a really, I don't know, we're a really close-knit team. I really I think everyone is super fun in the comms team, and I really like everyone a lot. So we have a little group chat where we kind of, have serious and fun conversations. But on the kind of worky side, we have our team meeting every week where we kind of discuss just things like what we did last week, what's upcoming, what our capacity is like. And then we also have kind of one-on-one meetings as needed. So this successful candidate will have kind of weekly meetings with me as the manager, and then I will kind of like feed back to Sophie as well. So yeah, we're broadly very collaborative. The instant chat is a very useful method, but obviously like we can be quite flexible based on kind of whatever anyone's ways of working are.
Super. Yeah, flexibility is a common word that we're going to be using through this call. Nice. Okay, so when somebody starts the role, when the new person begins, what kind of support and training and onboarding will they have to get up to speed in the role?
Yes. So I remember when I first started at GFI Europe, I was really I really loved the onboarding process because you get like a proper chunk of time to kind of sit down and get on top of everything, learn all of this cool new stuff. And so I think that's a really nice part of working for GFI Europe is you have that kind of allotted onboarding time where you get to kind of meet people, have a bit of time to kind of take stock of everything before you start kind of actually doing the work. And then as that goes on, there's a lot of different and flexible options for the kind of training that will best meet your kind of personal development needs. So I'm currently doing some additional, more formal nutrition training, but I think that we have a kind of budget that can be quite flexible to meet kind of the kind of needs that come up and the needs that you identify in your role. I don't know if you have any other thing to add on that.
No, I think that's clear. Yeah, I do really value the fact that our people operations team has spent a bit of time recently trying to figure out like different ways that we can support. Partly it's with budget, but it's also broader than that. It's the conversations that we have. So we aim to give really good feedback to each other. We aim to have really solid conversations about development as often as we can. So when you start in this role, Amy will basically be the person who will be helping to have those conversations with you and making sure that you're thinking about it and that you are planning your development work with us, and we'll find ways that we can support that whatever direction it needs to be going in. So yeah, it's exciting. So what would you expect this person to accomplish in the first 3 months, 6 months, 12 months in the role?
Yes. So I think obviously this is a kind of going to be an iterative process. We're going to be kind of working out, the best ways to kind of handle the various things that we have ongoing. But I think in the first sort of 3 to 6 months, I think it would be really fantastic to just have this person kind of get to learn how our social channels work, help kind of really step in and kind of lead on sort of planning the content, keeping the kind of calendar and like the connections with other people in the team, managing that kind of stuff, and the day-to-day organizing of that, as well as the developing and delivering the content side of things. Obviously, I will be working closely with them to kind of help help them build that. And then I think, as we progress, there will hopefully be kind of more autonomy and more scope for kind of specializing the different areas that the person finds kind of interesting and exciting.
Superb, thank you. What about the challenging stuff for the role? So what do you think the biggest challenges are for somebody coming into this role? And yeah, is there like any things that you can think of to help make those challenges a bit easier?
Yeah, sure. So I think something that is a bit of a perennial an evergreen issue in the comms team is that there is always so much you can do. There are always fun ideas. There's always so many different kind of things that would be really cool to do. And so one of those challenges is kind of thinking about, we don't have like infinite time. Which of those things is the most useful and most impactful for us to be doing, and kind of prioritizing. I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest challenges, both for us as a team, and also something that I think the person in this role, it's probably one of the challenges that I think they'll be grappling with. More broadly, I think it can also be difficult, just because we have so many different people in so many different kind of countries and topics and everything, all doing loads of interesting stuff. It can be kind of making sure that you have a finger on the pulse of all of the various things that are going on, and knowing like which things would be good to share, and checking in with people to make sure that we have all the information we need to be doing that, and supporting the rest of the team as they need. I think that is super. That can be obviously when you get it right, it's really, really great, but it can be a bit of a challenge to make sure that you've built that rapport, you've got enough kind of heads up on what's coming down the line to make sure you can meet everyone's needs.
Nice. I think it was an important point to mention that relationship sides, the kind of checking in with people and having those conversations and just having a good relationship is really key for helping to tackle some of that. On the prioritization stuff, I agree that is a challenge. We have a lot of things pretty much all the time that we could do with our time. And we have to focus, we have to prioritize the most impactful stuff. That's really a bit of a core thing for us across all departments. What kind of support, would this be support that you would give to someone to help to prioritize what was important in their work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, so in the first instance, I think, I will definitely help, and also be very vigilant, because I'm aware it can be a lot, to kind of make sure that you're not drowning, and that you have all the support you need, and the tools you need to kind of navigate that prioritization, because it can be a bit kind of we have loads of autonomy as part of the GFI Europe team, and so that can be a bit overwhelming, but it's also really, really cool. But yeah, definitely loads of support to help manage that. We also do have a lot of really useful kind of project management and kind of organization tools that we have that are at our disposal, like Asana, and also Agatha, who is she's like an expert in our ops team, and she can really help kind of streamline those processes and support people with making sure that the workflows and everything are as efficient as possible. So there is support, and definitely people will not be kind of thrown in at the deep end.
For sure. I think particularly in the remote world, in most remote jobs, I think employers can be a bit worried that people aren't quite doing their hours or aren't quite pulling their weight. If anything, we have the opposite problem at GFI in Europe. We have to really make sure, because a lot of the work we do is actually pretty fun and very impactful and very kind of mission driven, we have to really check in and be very intentional about making sure that people stick to their hours and aren't accidentally overworking. So we do have quite a few things in place to try to help that, and to try to make sure that we do have a really healthy work-life balance. It's super crucial, but particularly in a remote setting where we can't see what people are doing. We trust people do their job, that's for sure. We very much treat people as adults, but making sure that we have kind of guardrails for that and making sure that people don't overwork. Again, like I say, we have to be really intentional. So nice. Okay, something we haven't really covered is a day in the life of this role. So what kind of would a normal, I'm not sure there's ever going to be a normal day, but what would a normal week or a normal kind of series of flows be? What kind of work would someone in this role find themselves doing on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, absolutely. So as you point out, there is a huge variety of things that you will end up doing in this role, which is part of what makes it so fun. In terms of what happens in a week, Mondays is usually the meeting day. So we will have our whole GFI Europe team meeting. We have our communications team meeting, and that's the kind of keeping stock. And then we have a whole day on Tuesday, which is just deep work, which is really great. So you can kind of actually get your head down and just focus on things. That could be, there's all sorts of things that we end up doing. It can be helping make engaging visuals for reports that some other members of the team are doing. It could be supporting with social media posts about kind of some new news or launch. And then there's also kind of obviously the kind of that general like keeping an eye on our social media channels, making sure we've got kind of a pipeline of things we can post, and just like making sure that we've seen everything. So I think there's a huge variety. I feel like I'm doing a blank on all of the various things we do. Also like website website management, kind of coming up with new ideas, monitoring and like tracking our analytics and our performance and seeing what we might be able to do better. I think it often takes the shape of the things that we are supporting on, but I think it's really so it changes a lot, but it's always interesting, I guess.
Superb. You mentioned Deep Work Tuesdays. Just to also mention, we, again, as part of that culture, to try to make sure we give people autonomy, but try to give people space to just do the things that they need to do. We have Deep Work Weeks as well, 3 times a year. So I think it's April, August, and December. We basically cancel all internal meetings for those weeks and just give people time to basically clear the decks and clear some of the backlog of things which might have been kind of building up over the kind of 4 months up until that point. So again, we try to be really intentional, and we're always happy for people to bring ideas of better ways that we can also do kind of managing workflows and making sure that we're working in a way which gets the best out of individuals, whoever they are and whatever their working styles. So again, hopefully a positive thing about working in this kind of organization, in this kind of sector. Super. Okay, what about for the rest of 2025 in terms of like goals for the comms team? Like what things are you really working on right now?
So I think one of the main things that we're kind of working with, so as you mentioned at the start, we're about 45 in the team now. When I started 3 years ago, I think I was the 21st person. So we're growing rapidly, and supporting the communications needs of a team twice the size is really different. So I think a lot of our goals at the moment are kind of how we expand and kind of build our processes and kind of manage the distribution of how we're working, to make sure that we can kind of support everybody's needs and kind of level up that kind of working pattern, I guess. So I think that's probably the main goal at the moment. And also we have a lot of really cool, interesting research coming out towards the end of the year as well. So supporting on that and making sure that it's nice and digestible and understandable to the right people.
Nice. You've mentioned this a little bit, but it might be helpful just to kind of circle back to having this as a standalone question. So how does the comms team work together with other departments at GFI Europe? So you mentioned that kind of supportive function, but how does that, like, what does it really look like?
Yeah, sure. So I think that relationship building part is a really crucial thing there. I think it's something that I actually really like about working in digital comms in particular, is that people will always reach out to me and be like, oh, hey, can you help me with this? And so you actually get to build like a nice relationship with the people that like all over the team, where in other kind of other GFI Europe teams, you might be more kind of siloed in your specific team. We get to kind of work with everyone. So oftentimes people will kind of reach out to us via email, or bring us in on kind of projects in our project management system, Asana, to kind of let us know. And then for larger projects, that will be kind of, we'll have a kickoff meeting, we'll kind of talk through what the plans are, feed in on anything that we think might need support, and then we can take that away and kind of build out timelines and make sure that we have enough kind of capacity to deliver on that. And also just kind of help guide the formats. So I think, it's often really useful to have that time in advance to help shape the formats to kind of best fit the communication, the best way of communicating kind of what the output will be. So I think, we're quite flexible, but broadly, people will kind of reach out to us. It can be ad hoc, it can be more structured with kind of set up meetings. There will often be kind of, for larger projects, be kind of weekly project updates so that we can just keep up to date with what's happening. And yeah, so it's kind of flexible, and it kind of depends on the specifics of the project. But I think broadly, there's I think that building relationships part is always really useful as well, and that's how the better relationship you have with people, the more kind of stuff that they give you, and that's great to help kind of make sure you can find all of the cool stuff that's going on.
Totally agree. Particularly in a remote setting, relationships are just absolutely crucial. And again, we have to be quite intentional about those when we don't have like a cafeteria or a water cooler to catch up with each other on. So yeah, we have to be quite deliberate about how we make relationships and how we make time for each other, just to get to know each other kind of outside the workflows as well. So just also to mention, as well as the different departments within GFI Europe, we also have global affiliates as part of our network, which is a really fun dynamic to how we work at GFI. So the GFI Europe team is one of 6 or 7 affiliates around the world. So we're almost mirrored in different organizations by different entities in places like Brazil or Asia Pacific. Asia Pacific's probably the most similar to us because they work in a multi-country setting like we do. So there are people who do similar things, similar roles, but in totally different contexts. So to share a mission and to share the same kind of content to a degree, the same kind of root content, but then have to adapt it to different voices and different audiences, it's kind of a wonderful thing. You've always got these kind of parallel allies and parallel kind of roles in different entities where you can share with them, you can have conversations, you can learn from them, you can share materials. There's this kind of wonderful collegiate relationship of basically some of the best people on the planet doing the most mission-driven and impactful work. And the fact that, yeah, you can just basically have a quick call with them and check something or use them as a bit of a thought partner. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would also say it is really, really useful when it comes to kind of the digital side in particular, because, sometimes you'll be like, okay, I do not know why this, like everything I do on LinkedIn channel is just not getting any impressions. What's happening? And then you can be like, APAC, are you also seeing this? Have you, and then kind of share your kind of findings and your experiments and kind of, work together to kind of solve problems and different kind of, strategies in the role, which I think is a very lucky thing again that we have in GFI Europe.
Totally agree. It brings a wonderful diversity to our global team as well. So we have just different voices and perspectives all over the place. This is great. Super. I'm going to give you a bit of a rest from speaking, Amy, with the next question, which hopefully I can give a shot. So the question is, what opportunities are there to advance within the organization career-wise in this role? So it's a really good question, and it's one that we are very keen to explore and to develop more and more over time. So we are, as Amy said, a growing organization. We've grown pretty quickly in the 6-ish years that we've existed in Europe. And as part of that, we've been creating new roles and new functions and new opportunities that kind of come alongside that. So we do have opportunities for internal progression. I think Amy mentions people in our team are following that kind of progression and growing within their role. That's exciting. We can't guarantee exactly where those progressions will be because it will be very much focused on our plans and on our strategies, so that we're kind of looking for where the gaps are and seeing if we can develop people with interests or alignment in to fill some of those gaps. So there's definite pathways internally. Also, as Amy said, there's lots of professional development opportunities, be that funding or be that time and opportunities. The coaching opportunity with different affiliates around the world also is just a super cool bonus. So there's lots of opportunities to try to advance people and to try to help them and support them. And our people operations team are also working at the moment to lay out what some of those career pathways could look like for people, so that there's a bit more direction to it. So hopefully that gives a bit more, direction and clarity for people coming in to see where their career could be growing with us. But we are definitely an organization where we want people to be growing. We want people to be developing. And we actively love the fact that people bring diverse skills and can use them in different ways, and we try to find opportunities where that aligns with the mission and the work we do to really make the best of that. So Amy's actually a really good example. Amy worked and applied for a job in communications, but because she brings a skill set and an interest and the kind of development pathway, the kind of organizational growth pathway in nutrition, we changed her job title and changed her job description to kind of absorb that. When was it, Amy? It was a couple of years back now, I think.
Yeah, I think it was about this time last year. Yeah, but no, I like exactly. I think that's something that's really exciting. Like I'm just a massive nerd, and so ended up kind of, being like, oh, this will be cool. And then it kind of, there was loads of interesting and stuff that was kind of useful. And so, yeah, that kind of side of, yeah, that whole side of my role kind of, yeah, spread out of that kind of nice organic pattern. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's been really, really cool, and something that I have always struggled with in previous roles is that I just have this tendency to get kind of, yeah, like very interested in specific things, and kind of, I think it's been, yeah, something I really, really love about working at GFI Europe is that, yeah, I can do those things and properly have kind of support for developing my career.
I am always over the moon that you can. It makes me very happy. Sweet. Okay, let's go back to the role specifically in terms of some of the questions that people commonly ask about whether they're a fit for the role, whether the role is a fit for them. So firstly, what kind of attributes does somebody need to have to be really successful in this position?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And like, I think always in a bunch of context stuff, I always really think that kind of enthusiasm and kind of genuine interest in stuff is really infectious and is really important for making kind of good content that other people kind of want to read. So I think that kind of enthusiasm and that kind of, genuine interest in the work we're doing, which luckily is really interesting. I think that's a kind of must. I think that's really useful. Obviously, being able to write well, being able to kind of communicate and tailor the kind of things we're saying based on who we're talking to. We obviously work across loads of different countries, so it's important to make sure that we're kind of always thinking about that and kind of communicating kind of thoughtfully. So I think, yeah, those are also key attributes. But then beyond that, kind of going back to what I said before, like, there is also a lot of prioritization, a lot of kind of organizing yourself and making sure that you can keep on top of all sorts of different things going on at once. And kind of like taking that initiative as well to be like, oh, this didn't work quite right. How can I make this better? Or, oh, that's a cool idea. I saw this person doing something I thought was interesting. Why don't we see if that can work for us? And kind of always trying to think of how to kind of play around and improve what we're doing, I think is, something that is a really key. It's kind of hard to say succinctly, but I think is a kind of a really important attribute that I think, yeah, would be helpful.
Nice. I think inquisitive mind might be a good descriptor, but yeah, it's probably even bigger than that. Nice. What about like specific experience? Like, is there any real must-haves that somebody must bring?
So I think we don't really generally look for kind of years of experience. And I think another thing that I think is really cool about our application process is that we look for kind of skills more than specific X years of this. That said, I think it probably would be beneficial for someone to have worked kind of managing social media or website or owned channels kind of generally. I think, yeah, that's just a useful background, obviously, because that's going to be a core part of the role. I think, yeah, having that kind of base in managing your time and kind of developing content and kind of working with teams, I think will be useful. But I don't think we have any kind of set experience, and we kind of look at skills first and foremost.
Nice, superb. Couple of short quick fire questions as well that I can again give you a bit of a break and answer some of these. So common question we have is, I'm not a first language English speaker. Can I apply for the role? How good does my English need to be? Yeah, it's a fair question. We are an English first language organization, but we have a huge variety of Englishes across the team. So the documents that we share, the meetings that we have are first language English, but you don't need to be like a perfectly fluent first language speaker, that's for sure. We have I actually counted up the other day for a presentation how many different nationalities are represented across our team. And given that we're coming up to 45 people, I think I counted 21, which is insane. It's wild. So yeah, we do have really a strong variety of different people, different accents, different backgrounds. We love that. It's where we get our strength from, because we see things from different perspectives across Europe, from all sorts of different like cultural perspectives. So we love having that diversity in our team. So don't feel that you have to be absolutely perfect in English to work here. You just need to be able to basically do the work and be able to perform in English so that you're able to do a good job. Is there anything more that you wanted to say on that, Amy?
No, nothing other than, yeah, my English is certainly not perfect most of the time, so.
I'm much the same. Cool. The job description says about additional languages as well. Is there any language in particular that you're looking for?
No, so I think, yeah, any kind of additional languages are always just useful, and kind of obviously bring that kind of insight. So yeah, obviously European languages are yeah, any European language I think would, yeah, be great.
Nice, certainly an advantage. Okay, in the job description it says that the role is restricted to people in certain countries. So those countries are Belgium, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, and the UK. So just to flag that whilst we're really excited and happy for people who are from anywhere in Europe to be able to apply for the role, you do have to be in one of those countries in order for us to employ you. So this is basically coming down to payroll requirements. So we are registered as an employer in those countries. So yeah, you would need to be based in one of them in order to pay the taxes locally in one of those countries. So we can be pretty flexible. It does take a lot of work for us to set up a new payroll in a new country, so we can't be perfectly flexible on that. But yeah, hopefully that's still flexible enough that we can get some that we can work for the vast majority of people across Europe. Cool. So also, since this is a remote role, will there be opportunities to meet colleagues in person? The answer is yes. So twice a year, we have team retreats in Europe where we get together to do kind of two main things. So one is connect with each other and just kind of have what I sometimes think of as like the coffee break of the year, where we actually just hang out and we just have dinners together and lunches together, and we just get to know each other on a personal level. And the other thing is making sure we're kind of aligning on projects. We have specific time together on, I don't know, a particular topic or a particular initiative, so that people can come together for those moments where it's just easier and better and happier to have people in the same room sitting around for complicated discussions. So we also have opportunities through the year. So if somebody is doing a particular strategic plan, say, and they want to bring people together for that, and again, it's just easier to do it in the same room, then we can absolutely find a way to do that. And sometimes even departments might come together if there's a need to strategize or get together to solve a particular problem. Again, we can make that happen as well. So as we're expanding, most people are fairly close to someone now at GFI in Europe. So there's also opportunities on an ad hoc basis. So we have, I think, a handful of people now. I think 3 or 4 people in Paris. We have maybe 3 or 4 people in London. Couple of people around Edinburgh. We have, I think, 5 people in Berlin, and so on. So we have kind of little hubs popping up and starting to appear across Europe, which is kind of fun as well. So there's opportunities to really capitalize that if you happen to live near people in the team. Cool. Another quick question that we often also get is that because we focus on alternative proteins, do I need to be a vegan to fit in? Yeah, it's a good question, and the answer is resoundingly no, not at all. So we're not interested in changing people's diets. We're not interested in changing, asking people to eat differently. What we're interested in is changing how meat is made in the first place. So we actually have quite a variety of different people in our team, from people who are vegan for animal reasons, people who are vegan for climate reasons, people who are vegetarian, people who eat meat, and basically all of those opinions and all of those ways of living are perfectly valid and welcomed here. So yeah, whichever you are, whichever kind of dietary preferences you have, and whatever the reasons, you'll find similar people in the team, and you'll find it a happy and very understanding place. So we are hopefully very good at including everybody in that. The only thing to say is when we do have retreats, and also if people are traveling for work, we do ask that the food that they buy is plant-based, and the drinks that they buy are plant-based. And that's largely just to make sure that we're really values aligned, because as a non-profit, we're taking donor money to be advancing alternative proteins. It's important that we align that internal policy with that. But in a sense, it just gives us all a really good excuse to try lots of different types of alternative proteins as we travel, which I think most people actually really love. So cool. Amy, was there any other questions that we haven't covered that you wanted to talk through?
No, I think that's about everything.
Cool. Okay, I'll end then with one final question that we can both answer. What is your favorite thing about working at GFI Europe?
Yes, so it's kind of hard because I honestly just think this is kind of my dream job, but I really, really enjoy working. I think it's always interesting. You really feel like you're actually making a difference, which is really, really rewarding. And yeah, like I'm really passionate about our mission. I genuinely think that like our work is helping to make kind of healthier, more sustainable diets kind of much more accessible and affordable for people. And I think that's just like such an important and cool thing to be able to kind of do every day. So yeah, I just find it really rewarding. And it's also, as I mentioned earlier, I am a bit of a nerd and I find it all just super interesting as well. So being able to just kind of dive into that and kind of manage all of the different like digital landscapes is really kind of fun. Oh, this might work, like playing around with strategies. And there's just loads of cool stuff, and it feels like you have agency and that you're making a difference, which is really, really great.
Nice. That's way more than one favorite thing. Super cool. Puts a big smile on my face listening to you talk about it as well. It's wonderful. For me, I think again there's a bunch of things, so it's not really one thing. One thing for me is there's 7 billion chickens in Europe that are slaughtered every year. That's just chickens. We are making a difference. If we do our jobs as well as we can do them, and if we can basically get alternative proteins to the point that they are competitive on tastes, competitive on price, and basically becoming the choice for people in the supermarkets, because it becomes the default, it becomes commonplace. We're literally saving 7 billion chickens. It's just insane. It's wild the amount of impact that we can have by doing this role. It's utterly scalable as well as a solution. So the impact of meat production right now on climate change is roughly the equivalent of the entire transport sector. So all of the planes, all of the cars, all of the boats in the world. If we can get alternative proteins to a stage where, again, they're adopted, even a small shift to them is a radical and rapid change to the trajectory of climate change on our planet. So we're really working at some of the most urgent and pressing challenges in the world. And that is a reason to get out of bed in the morning. We have basically a really tangible and relatively elegant way forwards to not really ask people to change much about their world. So this is, not change much about their kind of processes or the kind of the way that they act. This is just slipping into how people already behave. So yeah, that's a pretty exciting prospect. And the second thing for me, definitely, as well as the mission, really is about the team that we work with. We have some of the best professionals doing the most incredible cutting edge stuff that literally nobody else is doing at all in Europe and across the world. The discussions we have and the level of conversation that I have literally every day in different meetings with people just blows my mind. And I literally look forward to every single meeting. Like at the beginning of a day, I can look at my calendar and just get energized just thinking of the conversations that I'm going to be having and the people that I get to interact with. It's just an absolute treat. So lots to love for me. So yeah, hopefully you will want to join us. So we're excited that this role is going to help to really boost our footprint across Europe. There's a heap of exciting things that are going to be involved in this. And hopefully Amy and I have given you a bit of a flavor of the sort of work you'll be doing, the sort of team that you would be joining, and hopefully the sort of culture as well, the sort of, the environment that you would be working into. So feel free to reach out if you've still got more questions. The email address is europe-hiring@gfi.org, and then one of the team can get back to you and just help to answer any questions that are maybe particular to your situation. That's absolutely fine. Just let us know. And otherwise, check all the details on the website. All the closing date and other materials are all on there. And we're very much looking forward to hearing from you, and all the best with your application.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much. Take care.